guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about today's video. We are going to be testing out some different products from a makeup brand that really blew my mind with this one product. That is the brand Thrive Causemetics. In the year 2020, I tried out for the first time their Liquid Lash Extensions mascara. This thing, however, has officially expired. So I was on their website ordering a new tube of their mascara and decided to give a couple of other things a try as well. So that is what we are going to be doing today, trying out some makeup from Thrive Causemetics. This is the look that I came up with. I am very happy with it and can't wait to show you guys what I used to create it. So I hope you guys are excited about it. Before we jump in, I want to welcome any new visitors to my channel. Hope that you enjoy this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you do, and of course make sure that you are subscribed. But with that said, let's get right into it. Alright guys, let's get this party started. So let me go over what I picked up from Thrive Causemetics. So I only got 4 things in total. This is not going to be a full face of Thrive Causemetics. I ended up going with their Buildable Blur CC Cream, which we will be trying out. Crossing my fingers I got the shade match right. I also picked up their bronzer. I've heard a ton of people talking about this for years. This is in the shade Rhea I ended up going with, so I'm excited to give that a try. And then I picked up one of their multi-sticks. This is a blush basically. I went with the shade Tessa, which is a berry toned. This one is the only one that is matte. I believe there were some other shades that I was going back and forth between. Those ones did have some shimmer in them, so I thought about getting those and using them as like a hybrid highlight slash blush. But this berry one just looked so pretty, and I figured we could use this on my lips as well. So we will try that out today. And then of course the mascara that you guys know I love so very much. So those are the things that we are trying out that are new from Thrive. And then we'll fill in the blanks with a couple of things that I have. So my skin is all prepped and ready. I did add a little bit of primer today. Quick side note, I have been loving this little sample of the Ofra Cool as a Cucumber primer. It is so moisturizing. I'm definitely gonna have to pick up a full size of this because I have really fallen in love with it, which is saying something because I don't often love primers. So let's open up and take a look at the CC cream. So here it is, a full fluid ounce. I ended up going with the shade Light Medium. Let me just get a little pump of this on the back of my hand. Oh boy, I think this might be a little dark for me right now. I did add a little bit of self-tanner today. However, I'm actually pretty happy with this because we are rolling into baseball season, which means I will be outdoors watching a lot of baseball this spring and will probably pick up a little bit of a tan. So this will likely match me a lot better in the spring and summer than it does right now. We're gonna go with it on its own. So I'm gonna take a pump. Actually, let's make that 2 pumps. This doesn't pump a whole lot out, which I actually like. I don't like when a product pumps out too much at one time. I find that sometimes I end up having too much and having to either waste some of it or just apply too much. So I put about 2 pumps onto my fingers. I am going to use my fingers today. I like using my hands or my fingers when I'm using a CC cream or a BB cream. So this definitely is a little bit on the deep side. So I'm probably going to have to run this down my neck just a little bit more than I normally do. I always hate putting foundation on my neck because it gets my clothes dirty. But I think out of necessity, we might just have to do that today. So far, it feels really nice on the skin. I would say it has a solid medium coverage. If I'm comparing the coverage of this to like the Misha BB cream, I'd say it's similar to the Misha. I don't think it's quite, maybe it's a little bit less coverage than the Misha or the e.l.f. CC cream, or even the IT Cosmetics. I think so far, just based on what I'm seeing, this is a good solid medium, whereas those are more kind of medium to full coverage foundations. So I'm just going to take my towel just along the edges here by my hairline where you can see the color difference. I'm just kind of wiping a little bit of that excess foundation off just so it doesn't look too obvious that my foundation is just a little bit too dark. As far as the way it feels, it's not dewy, but I also wouldn't call it mattifying. Actually, the finish reminds me a lot of the e.l.f. one, so it's kind of a solid just satin or skin-like finish. Let me just read to you guys its claims. It says, this multitasking color correcting cream blurs and diffuses skin imperfections with buildable sheer to full coverage and broad spectrum 35 protection, powered by Blur Effect technology. Color adjusting micropigments and vitamin C. This skin-loving formula helps conceal fine lines, pores, and dark spots. And then it has a tip listed down below that says, for sheer coverage, apply 1 pump. For full coverage, apply 2 to 3 pumps. I did apply 2 full pumps, and I feel like I got, I would say, solid medium coverage. Maybe 3 would have given me a little bit more coverage, but I don't feel like I necessarily need more. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit of concealer to cover up a few areas that I feel like I need a little bit more coverage. So today I'm going to use a new concealer to me. This one is from BH Cosmetics. I got this on sale, and as a hint, be on the lookout for a BH Cosmetics video coming up that I'm super excited about. But I've really been loving this concealer. The one I have is in the shade 106. When I picked this up recently, it was on sale for around $2 a tube. And look how large this tube is. 0.46 ounces. That is a lot of concealer for $2 or $3. So If you're on the BH Cosmetics website, wander over to the concealer area and see if they still have some in stock, because I do think this is a really nice concealer. Alright guys, so far I feel like it's looking pretty good. I do think it's a little bit dark on me. I'm very curious to try this out again with just a tiny bit of a light foundation mixed in with it, just to get the shade match right. Now I don't know that you'll be able to tell with my bright lights, but in person I can tell it's just a little bit off. It's just looking a little bit orange and dark right here just because of the shade. As far as the blur effect technology, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on it and keep you guys posted on that, because I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to mean. I mean, my forehead wrinkles are still there, but I'm assuming any magical powers that it has are probably pretty subtle. But let's now move on to the bronzer. So we're going to take the Sun Chaser Blur and Sculpt bronzer in the shade Rhea. Here's what it looks like inside the pan. This is really nice packaging. Very fancy and high-end feeling. Looks like a really good shade match. Have a good feeling about this one. I was worried this one might be a little bit too light for me, but looking at it in person now, I think it's going to be just right. So let's take a little bit of that on my rougher bronzer brush, and I'm just going to start applying that. Okay, it is pigmented. I think I was maybe underestimating how pigmented this bronzer would be. And I probably don't need as much as I normally would today because my foundation is a little bit dark. But that's okay. So far, really like that shade. It's nice and warm, but it's not orange in any way. Really pretty shade. Very naturally tan looking. Okay, I really do like that bronzer a lot. Can't wait to keep trying this out, especially with a foundation that matches me. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm a little thrown off by my foundation. When I look in my mirror, it looks a little dark. When I look at my viewfinder, it looks just right. So I have no idea what you guys are going to end up seeing. But let's move on to the blush stick. So this is their Triple Threat Color Stick. I end up going with the shade Tessa, which is a very toned matte shade. This is the only one that was a matte formula. I think the other ones had some shimmer in them. But I thought the shade looked so pretty. I hope it's not too deep for me. Oh my gosh, that's really deep. That's really pigmented. This is going to be a little more challenging than I thought it might be. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe the formula will be very forgiving, but I'm a little bit nervous now. I think this might have been a little bit too dark. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and just take that swatch on the back of my hand and take my Luxie Duo Fiber powder brush. I'm just going to kind of work that into my brush. And then I'm going to slowly start to add that to my cheeks. It's not super emollient feeling. It feels like more of a cream to kind of powder finish. If you have more medium to deep skin, I think this will probably be perfect for you. But if you have very fair skin, just be very careful. This might be a little bit dark. All right, and I have a clean, damp sponge right here. I'm just going to take that around the edges just to make sure they're really nice and blended. I might have gotten just a little too much pigment. So this will help kind of diffuse that just a little bit, make it look a little bit more natural, and also blend it a little bit better. I do think it's really pretty. It's really strong. This is what I'm going to have to play with. We are going to try it out on my lips today, so stay tuned. We will jump back into this one in a little bit. Let's now move on to my brows. So I don't have a brow product from Thrive Causemetics. We're just going to use something I already have. We're going to take my ColourPop brow pencil. This one is in the shade Taupe. I'm just about out of this pencil. I'm just going to fill my brows in really quickly. Alright, and to set those in place, I'm going to take a little bit of the ColourPop Brow Boss Gel. This is probably one of my favorite brow gels I've come to discover. I did try out the Wet n Wild one in a recent video. I have found that one I'm not a huge fan of. I'll probably mention this in a couple weeks. I'm planning to do a update video on some new products that I have tried out over the last month or two, but I'll mention it again here. That brow gel, the Wet n Wild one, does leave a little bit more of a white cast. That's hard to get rid of, so I don't like that one quite as much because you can kind of see it in your brows. There we go. Let's now move into the eyes. So for the eyes today, we're going to start off by just using the bronzer. Should I try using a little bit of this blush on my eyes today too? Let's start off with the bronzer. I might use a little bit of this in my outer corner just because I want to find as many uses as I can with this thing. So let's start off with the bronzer. I'm going to take a little bit of this on my Alter Ego number 5 brush. I'm just going to start placing this up through my crease, kind of slightly under my lower lash line. I'm going to take that same brush and put a little bit of this just on the very, very tip of this brush. I don't want too much of this on there. And we're going to just start running this on the outer half of the lid just to kind of add a little bit of a pink color peeking through. So I'm just taking a tiny bit at a time and just building that up kind of subtly in the outer corner. Okay, that is pretty. Let's jump over to a highlighter. So today, why don't we go into my Folklore palette? I mentioned this in my favorites video. I've been using this a lot lately and really loving it. So I wiped off that same brush. Let's start off with the eyes. I'm going to take a mix of this peach shade and this pink shade, and we're going to run this all over my lid. Okay, and then I'm going to dip my finger just into the peach and add that to the front portion of my lid just to bump up or amp up kind of the shimmer right there. And then I'm going to take this tiny little brush right here. This is the Alter Ego number 11 brush. And I'm going to take that in the Champagne, and we're going to use that just on the inner tear duct right there. Okay, that's a pretty look. Let's add just a little bit more bronzer to the lower lash line. So I'm going to take this little smudge brush right here. This is also from Alter Ego, the number 9 brush. And I want to run just a little bit more on the outer half of the lower lash line just to add a little bit more depth down there. Okay, so I'm going to take that same highlighter on my Luxie highlighting brush, and we're going to add, let's mix the peach and the Champagne together. And I'm just going to add these right here on the bridge of my nose, on the front of my nose, my Cupid's bow, and then all down my cheekbone. Alright, so let's add a little bit of liner. I'm going to take my Wet n Wild liner. I do want to add kind of some smudgy liner here on the outer corner just because things aren't very dark right there. I want them to be just a little bit more dramatic, so we're going to kind of smudge this right up next to those lower lashes. I'm going to use my finger just to really press this and smudge it out. Wipe my finger off and kind of go back in a few times just to really get that nice and diffused so it doesn't look like a line. Same thing on this side. Okay, that looks great. I'm going to curl my lashes next. Then we are going to open up this brand new tube of Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. Huge fan of this stuff. This one is in the shade Black or Rich Black. It's actually the shade Bryn. I guess it has a name. It's not just black, it's Bryn. Oh, so excited to have a new tube of this though, you guys. Oh, it is glorious. Especially for the first like 4 months. It's just so great. Once it starts to dry out a little bit, it can be a little bit tricky to work with, but man, this gives me insane lashes and it stays on so well. I love it so much. Alright you guys, so here are the finished eyes with the finished mascara. Oh, I love this mascara. Best of all, I know that it is going to stay put. If I am out in the sun or the wind with watery eyes, this stuff is going to stay in place, which is such a lifesaver for me come spring. Last thing we're going to do is the lips. Let's jump back to the Triple Threat Lip and Cheek. What is this thing called? No, color stick. Let's jump back to this thing. I'm going to, let's see, I'm trying to decide the best way to put this on. Should I just do it straight from the bullet? Actually, I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my finger, actually, ooh, it feels nice and creamy on my finger. And I'm just going to start kind of pressing that in. It's a little bright at first, but as you kind of work it in, it looks more natural, more like a stain. Actually, that looks really pretty. I really like that. So we're going to add a little bit of gloss on top. I'm going to take my Fenty gloss in the shade Sweet Mouth, and let's add just a little bit of this. Okay, actually, lastly, I want to try adding just a little bit more of this with a lip brush. I'm going to take a little bit just on the tip of the lip brush and add it just down below. Add a little bit more definition just right there under the center of my lower lip. Alright guys, here we have the finished look. Very happy with this one. This is actually a really pretty makeup look. The foundation is not looking as bad as I thought it was at the beginning. Again, the next time I use this foundation, unless I'm a little bit more tan, I'll probably add a little bit of a lighter foundation in with this one because this one is just a hair too dark for me. So I have high hopes that the shade of this one will match me a little bit better in a couple of months. I don't think it looks bad by any means. As for the formula, it looks nice. I'm actually a little surprised. I thought it would have a little bit more coverage. This has the least coverage of the BB or CC creams that I think I have ever tried. tried, but I do think it looks really pretty on the skin. I'm gonna need a little bit more time with this one to give you guys a full review, and I will try and come back and do that shortly. But so far, despite the shade being a little bit off, I am pretty impressed with this thing. As for the bronzer, this is probably my favorite thing that I tried out today. I am very happy with this bronzer. I think this is gonna be a fantastic addition to my collection, a new favorite, if you will. It is pretty pricey. There are definitely drugstore formulas of bronzer out there that are just as good, in my opinion, for a fraction of the price. But if you like a high-end bronzer, if you like really good packaging, this is definitely that. Really nice formula, really great shade, and really nice packaging. For the triple threat color stick, I actually think this looks really nice now that my makeup is all done. It looks very natural on my cheeks because I applied such a sheer layer. It doesn't actually look like I'm wearing blush, even though my cheeks are very, very pink. And I especially like how this looks on my lips and even on my eyes. Not something I probably would have done otherwise. I think if this would have worked better on my cheeks, I'm not sure that I would have tried it on both my lips and my eyes. But I'm glad that I did because I think this looks really nice. I love how my lips look today. It's a really pretty natural color. I doubt that I will regularly use this on my eyes, but it was a fun little trick to try today. I still kind of wish that I would have picked up a lighter shade because I just feel like this is a shade that's meant more for medium to deep skin tones. It is very rich, very pigmented, but I do think it's a nice formula. It blends really easily. It's not a dewy formula. It's more of a satin to matte finish, even though it is a cream. And I will just say right now, this thing's gonna last me for generations because when I do use this on my cheeks, I need such the tiniest amount of this that I'm never gonna make it through this. But it is a very pretty shade. I will give it that. You guys know my thoughts on the Liquid Lash Extensions mascara. Huge fan of this. I'm so happy to have a fresh tube of this. It's going to come very much in handy this spring and summer. Over the next 6 months, I know I'm going to use this thing up completely. But that is all for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to know if you guys have tried out some other things from Thrive Causemetics. Let me know if you have any recommendations. I would love to hear those down below. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope that you guys are all doing well. I want to remind you one more time, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please be sure to do that before you leave. But that is it for today. I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye. My hair is so big today. Reminds me of in high school. I remember one of the first times I started wearing my hair curly in high school. I remember going to school one day, which was a little bit damp when I went to school. I could feel it growing in volume as the day moved on. And back then I had this weird complex that I felt like everyone was staring at my hair and mocking me because it was so huge. It just felt really big. I actually remember being out at lunch and someone said something about my hair. I don't even think it was rude. They probably were just giving me a compliment. And I literally covered my whole head with my hands and put my head on the table because I was so embarrassed and felt like everybody was staring at me. Talk about insecure. Oh man, I'm so glad that I'm not a teenager anymore.